What is the U.S. Constitution?
It's a documentary that allowed white people who owned property to vote.
The U.S. Constitution is the document that basically outlines our rights as citizens.
It was thought up by Misters Hamilton, Madison, and Jay.
Oh, it's the document basically describing the overall structure of what we consider the laws of our land.
The dictionary defines constitute as follows. All of the definitions in this word point to what a constitution is, but 4 words are repeated 2 or 3 times. These words are form, set, establish, and make.
Well, the word establish actually appears a number of places in the Constitution, but if you're talking about the preamble, we the people of the United States do hereby ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States. It refers to the creation of the government. Ordain is a legal term, essentially means that we, the people, have the power to pass this law, and establishes the actual setting up of something that didn't exist prior to the Constitution being ratified.
The words found and frame are also present, and these words closely parallel the spirit of the repeated words. But if this is what it means to constitute something, what is a constitution?
The U.S. Constitution is the agreement between the people designed, at the founding of this country.
It is the compass that should lead the nation along the path of freedom and liberty for the individual.
The United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land, as it itself says, although it derives, of course, from the Declaration of Independence, which states a set of higher principles, if you will, that guide interpretation of the Constitution.
The Constitution governs the way we live.
She's right.
So let's go over this again. We, the people, established the U.S. government. We established the United States. The people, through a charter, a document called the Constitution, gave birth to this entity we now call the United States of America. This entity is managed by people we now call the government.
We the people means that the people are supposed to be in charge and not the government, and that the powers come from the people. They don't naturally fall to the government in any natural way. They get there because the people grant those powers in a very limited fashion. And once again, I think that's the part that we have forgotten too much, that it seems like it is now that we the people means we the people in Washington who run your life and control your money. And that's where we've gotten off base.
Thus, under the authority of we the people, the Founding Fathers drafted up a set of principles that aligned with the principles in an earlier document known as the Declaration of Independence. The Constitution was thus established upon these combined principles. Today, we the people continue to breathe life into that which was established by our ancestors.
That is to say, the original inhabitants, colonial people who declared their independence from Britain, established this system, and they established it for a certain geographical jurisdiction. So anyone who comes within that geographical jurisdiction has to accept the existence of this set of laws, just as if you come into my home, you may have to accept the customs in my home. If you come into my business, you may have to accept the terms and conditions on which my business is run, so long as there's no superior authority to tell me that I can't do it that way. And of course, there is no superior authority to the Constitution of the United States within our legal system.
The significance of we the people, as it was written into the founding documents of the United States, was that the power of the government was coming from the people being handed to the government, and that the people, we the people, were the supreme authority. They were the source of the sovereignty. They were the ones that were creating the government, and the government was to be subject to their will. That was quite a different experience in the course of history, because prior to that, all governments were the other way around. that the governments were formed by the kings and the conquerors, and then they say, oh yeah, well, by the way, now that we've got ourselves in charge here and we've got everything under control, let's see about the people. Maybe we'll think about the people. What rights are we going to give the people? What benefits will we give the people to keep them from revolting or whatever? But it was always the top down until the United States Constitution was written, and all of a sudden it was from the bottom up. We the people were instituting that government.
That's an interesting flip. The Constitution is a document used to enforce law on government, a document designed to limit government rather than limit citizens, as laws usually do.
The Constitution was written to limit the size and scope of government. It was to recognize that government was there to protect our liberties. The government would be very much smaller. It does not endorse the welfare system at all, and doesn't endorse the idea that we are the policemen of the world and we should occupy other countries. So instead of a government now that occupies so many other countries, and we have 700 bases overseas, that wouldn't happen if we had the proper size government. The government would be much, much smaller, maybe 80% smaller if we just followed the Constitution.
It's important to realize that the government did not give birth to the United States. We, the people, did. More specifically, our ancestors, when they were we, the people, living at the time, did.
Unfortunately, the system has changed. Every year, incrementally, so slowly and so in such small little steps that you could hardly see it. The fulcrum has gradually tipped back the other way, and now we have reverted back to the old world style of government where the government is in charge and we, the people, are being told what to do by the government. And that's a situation that is very sad in my mind, and it's more than sad, it's very dangerous, and we had better change it, or else we're going to wind up in abject slavery.
Ich proklamiere, die älteste Ostmark des deutschen Volkes soll von jetzt ab das jüngste Bollwerk der deutschen Nation und damit des